گفتمش شیرین ترین آواز چیست؟ چشم غمگینش به روی خیره ماند. گفتمش شیرین ترین آواز چیست؟ چشم غمگینش به روی خیره ماند. قطره قطره اشکش از مژگان چکید. لرز افتادش به گیسوی بلند. زیر لب غمناک خواند ناله زنجیرها بر دست من. گفتمش آنگه که از هم بگسلند خنده تلخی به لب آورد و گفت آرزویست دلکش است اما غریب. وقت شورم ره بر این امید بست. وان طلایی زرم خورشید را صخره‌های ساحل مغرب شکست. من به خود لرزیدم از درد تلخ. با دل من با دل او می‌گریست. گفتمش بنگر در این دریای کور. چشم هر اختر چراغ سنتیست. لیکن این نیز دریاییست چه؟ ای دریغا شب روان کز نیمه راه میکشد افسون شب در خوابشان. گفتمش فانوس ما میدهد از چشم بیداریشان. گفت اما در
Good
شبی
evening, everybody. Hi.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Joanna Godwin-Seidl. For those of you who don't know, I am your host this evening. I am the director and producer of Vienna Theatre. I feel like you're looking down at me. It's really... I am... There we go, that's a bit better. Oh dear, I don't know. I'm not feeling it today. It's been a long day. I got home about an hour ago. I had to cook the whole family dinner because they decided they were incapable of cooking their own dinner. And then I had to prepare for this. So there you go. We are doing, if you don't know, we are doing a reading on Saturday night in the Grand Hotel Wien. And that's what I have been doing all afternoon. I have been running around picking up beautiful dresses that we'll be wearing on the evening. And also, unfortunately, because of this very strange pandemic, which is the reason actually that Saman and I started this reading in the first place, because of the pandemic, to go into the Grand Hotel Wien and be able to read there, we have to have a negative COVID test. Sign of the times, unfortunately, but we absolutely understand it, and the health and security of the whole team is our absolute priority, so we have no problems in doing that. And thank you very, very much to Labo Mustafa for helping us out with those COVID tests. I am going to get started very shortly. I've got my tea, I've got my water. It's going to be a bit of a long night tonight because I've got, I don't know, something like 7 or 8 pages to get through or something. We are not reading tomorrow night. Alert, alert. Friday night, we are not reading. Saman and I are taking a night off because we are reading Saturday night instead at the Grand Hotel Wien in the presidential suite in beautiful dresses. So we are not going to be reading tomorrow night, so be aware of that. So that means we've got to get a little bit in more tonight so that we can read the 300th page on Saturday night, which is the reason why we have a special reading in the first place on Saturday. So, and also, of course, to celebrate the new year, because we haven't actually managed to do that yet, Saman and I, together, because we've all been in lockdown. So let us hope and pray that everything goes well, and when I hand in our tests tomorrow, they are all negative and we can all enjoy a very lovely reading at the Grand Hotel Wien on Saturday evening. It's a beautiful hotel. The presidential suite is to die for, drop dead gorgeous. Our dresses are by Maurizio Giambra, and I can promise you they are absolutely drop dead gorgeous once again, because we were dressed last time when we were at the Palais Hansen Kempinski by Maurizio. So please, please, please do tune in on Saturday, 9 p.m. Central European time, for our very special reading with live music from Kamyab Sadiri, and Bijam is going to be accompanying him again on the guitar. So make sure you tune in on Saturday. In the meantime, I'm going to start the marathon of reading. I think it's up to 7 pages today, after having had a long day, because I started working at 7. At 3 o'clock, I took my dog for a walk, came back home, and then didn't get back here until 7:30 as I was driving around Vienna, handing out tests to be done, picking up dresses, and da-da-da. But that's the way life is, folks. So I hope you are all sitting very, very comfortably. And without further ado, I'm going to take a sip of my water and I am going to begin. And I'm going to keep an eye on that fire. And I hope this time round I don't manage to put it out if I end up having to stoke it up a little bit again. Okay, so are you sitting a bit comfortable? I'm actually going to do this now. I had to do the other for our fashion guru for Saturday, who wanted to see me with long earrings and off-the-shoulder business. That's not to give a hint of what I'm going to look like on Saturday. So now I'm more comfortable like this, I think, or maybe like this. And I am going to start reading for you. I'm going to serve for my tea first. But I'm going to move my computer out of harm's way for my tea so that I don't pour anything on it. So, dear children, are you all sitting very comfortably? Then I suggest let us begin. Now, when it was the 297th night, Scheherazade said, "It has reached me, O auspicious king, that the Caliph Harun al-Rashid commanded, 'Bring me the girl at once, for I long for her exceedingly.' So they brought her, and the Caliph said to Abu Yusuf, 'I have a mind to have her forthright, for I cannot bear to abstain from her during the prescribed period of purification. Now, how is this to be done?' Abu Yusuf replied, 'Bring me one of thine own male slaves who hath never been manumitted. So they brought one, and Abu Yusuf said, give me leave to marry her to him. Give me leave to marry her to him. Then let him divorce her before consummation, and thus shall it be lawful for thee to lie with her before purification. This second expedient pleased the Caliph yet more than the first. So he sent for the Mameluke, and whenas he came, said to the Qazi, I authorize thee to marry her to him. So the Imam proposed the marriage to the slave, who accepted it and performed the ceremony. After which he said to the slave, divorce her, and thou shalt have 100 dinars. But he replied, I won't do this. And the Imam went on to increase his offer, and the slave too refused, till he bid him 1,000 dinars. Then the man asked him, doth it rest with me to divorce her, or with thee, or with the commander of the faithful? He answered, it is in thy hand. Then by Allah, quoth the slave, I will never do it. No, never. Hearing these words, the Caliph was exceeding wroth and said to the Imam, what is to be done, O Abu Yusuf? Replied he, be not concerned, O Commander of the Faithful. The thing is easy. Make this slave the damsel's chattel. Quoth al-Rashid, I give him to her. And the Imam said to the girl, say, I accept. So she said, I accept. Whereon, quoth Abu Yusuf, I pronounce separation from bed and board and divorce between them. For that he hath become her property, and so the marriage is annulled. With this, al-Rashid rose to his feet and exclaimed, it is the like of thee that shall be Qazi in my time. Then he called for sundry trays of gold and emptied them before Abu Yusuf, to whom he said, hast thou wherein to put this? The Imam bethought him of the mule's nose bag, so he went for it and, filling it with gold, took it and went home. And on the morrow he said to his friends, there is no easier nor shorter road to the goods of this world and the next than that of religious learning. For see, I have gotten all this money by answering 2 or 3 questions. So, consider thou, O polite reader, the pleasantness of this anecdote, for it compriseth devisers goodly features, amongst which are the complaints of Jafar to al-Rashid, and the wisdom of the Caliph, who chose such Qazi, and the excellent learning of Abu Yusuf. May Almighty Allah have mercy on their souls, one and all. And they also tell the tale of the lover who feigned himself to be a thief. When Khalid ibn Abdullah al-Khazri was Emir of Basra, there came to him one day a company of men, dragging a youth of exceeding beauty and lofty bearing and perfumed attire, whose aspect expressed good breeding, abundant wit, and dignity of the gravest. They brought him before the governor, who asked what it was, and they replied, "This fellow is a thief, whom we caught last night in our dwelling house." Whereupon Khalid looked at him and was pleased with his well-favouredness and elegant aspect. So he said to the others, "Loose him." And going up to the young man, asked what he had to say for himself. He replied, "Verily, the folk have spoken truly, and the case is as they have said." Quoth Khalif, "And what moved thee to this, and thou so noble of port and comely of mien?" Quoth the other, "The lust after worldly good and the ordinance of Allah, extolled and exalted be He." Replied Khalid, "Be thy mother bereaved of thee? Hast thou not in thy fair face and sound sense and good breeding what should restrain thee from thieving?" Answered the young man, "O Emir, leave this talk and proceed to what Almighty Allah hath ordained. This is what my hands have earned, and God is not unjust towards mankind." So Khalid was silent a while, considering the matter. Then he bade the young man draw near him and said, "Verily, thy confession before witnesses perplexeth me, for I cannot believe thee to be a thief. Haply thou hast some story that is other than one of theft, and if so, tell me." Replied the youth, "O Emir, imagine naught other than that what I have confessed to thy presence, for I have no tale to tell, save that verily I entered these folks' house and stole what I could lay hands on, and they caught me and took the stuff from me and carried me before thee." Then Khalid bade clap him in jail and commanded a crier to cry throughout Basra, "O yea, whoso be minded to look upon the punishment of such an one, the thief, and the cutting off of his hand, let him be present tomorrow morning at such a place." Now, when the young man found himself in prison, with irons on his feet, he sighed heavily, with tears streaming from his eyes, extemporized these couplets. "When Khalid menaced off to strike my hand, if I refused to tell him of her case, quoth I, far, far from me that I should tell a love which ever shall my heart engrace. Loss of my hand for sin I have confessed, to me were easier than to shame her face." The warders heard him and went and told Khalid, who, when it was dark, sent for the youth and conversed with him. He found him clever and well-bred, intelligent, lively, and a pleasant companion. So he ordered him food, and he ate. Then after an hour's talk, said Khalid, "Now, I know indeed thou hast a story to tell that is no thief's. So when the Qazi shall come tomorrow morning and shall question thee about this robbery, do thou deny the charge of theft and avouch what may avert the pain and penalty of cutting off thy hand. For the apostle, whom Allah bless and keep, saith, in case of doubt, eschew punishment." Then he sent him back to prison. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. Cool, it ain't half burning a little bit there, isn't it? Let's have a look. What's my husband done with the pliers? What do you do with the pliers, Georgie? And I will end up doing what we did last time, right? Remember that, folks? Where I managed to put out the whole fire. Some stage, that is hopefully going to burn really nicely. Let's see. Let's hope. Ah, that was fun. I just like playing with fire. And as long as I don't set my house on fire, I suppose we're all good. There we go. Somehow that's going to pick up at some stage. Good evening, everybody who's just joined. Also from the other pages who can see me. We are going to be now on 298th night. So, are you ready? Now, when it was the 200, oh, there we go. Now, when it was the 298th night, Shahrazad said, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that Khalid, after conversing with the youth, sent him back to prison, where he passed the night. And when morning dawned, the folk assembled to see his hand cut off. Nor was there a soul in Basra, man or woman, but was present to look upon the punishment of that handsome youth." What did I say, huh? We're not going to do like we did the other night where I actually managed to put it out. So go back a little bit. Nor was there a soul in Basra, man or woman, who was present to look upon the punishment of the handsome youth. Then Khalid mounted in company of the notables of the city and others, and summoning all 4 Qazis, sent for the young man, who came hobbling and stumbling in his fetters. There was none saw him, but wept over him, and the women all lifted up their voices in lamentation as for the dead. Then the Qazi bade silence the women and said to the prisoner, "These folk avouch that thou didst enter their dwelling and steal their goods. Belike thou stolest less than a 1/4 dinar." Replied he, "Nay, I stole that, and more. Peradventure, rejoined the Kazi, thou art partner with the folk in some of the goods? Quoth the young man, not so. It was all theirs, and I had no right in it. At this, the Khalid was wroth, and rose and smote him on the face with his whip, applying to his own case this couplet. Man wills his wish to him accorded be, but Allah naught accords save what he wills. Then he called for the butcher to do the work, who came and drew forth his knife, and taking the prisoner's hand, set the blade to it, when behold, a damsel pressed through the crowd of women, clad in tattered clothes, and cried out and threw herself on the young man. Then she unveiled and showed a face like the moon, whereupon the people raised a mighty clamour, and there's like to have been a riot amongst them and the violence seen. But she cried out her loudest, saying, I conjure thee, by Allah, O Emir, haste not to cut off this man's hand, till thou have read what is in this scroll. So saying, she gave him a scroll, and Khalid took it and opened it, and read therein these couplets. Ali Khalid, this one is a slave of love distraught, and these bowed eyelashes sent shaft that caused his grief. Shot him an arrow, sped by eyes of mine, for he, wedded to burning love of ills, hath no relief. He hath avowed a deed he never did the while, deeming this better than disgrace of love leaf. Bear then, I pray, with this distracted lover mine, whose noble nature falsely calls himself a thief. When Khalid had read these lines, he withdrew himself from the people and summoned the girl and questioned her. And she told him that the young man was her lover and she his mistress, and that, thinking to visit her, he came to the dwelling of her people and threw a stone into the house to warn her of his coming. Her father and brothers heard the noise of the stone and sallied out on him, but he, learning them coming, caught up all the household stuff and made himself appear a robber to recover his sister's honour, his mistress's honour, Now, when they saw him, they seized him, continued she, crying, a thief, and brought him before thee, whereupon he confessed the robbery and persisted in his confession that he might spare me disgrace. And this he did, making himself a thief of the exceeding nobility and generosity of his nature. Khalid answered, he is indeed worthy to have his desire, and calling the young man to him, kissed him between the eyes. Then he sent for the girl's father and bespoke him, saying, O Sheikh, we thought to carry out the law of mutilation in the case of this young man, but Allah hath preserved us from this, and I now adjudge him the sum of 10,000 dirhams, for that he would have given his hand for the preservation of thine honour and that of thy daughter, for the sparing of shame to you both. Moreover, I adjudge other 10,000 dirhams to thy daughter, for that she made known to me the truth of the case, and I ask thy leave to marry her to him. Rejoined the old man, O Umir, thou hast my consent. So Khalid praised Allah and thanked him, and improved the occasion by preaching a goodly sermon and a prayerful. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. Oh, isn't it beautiful now? There we go. That's what I call a burning fire. Ah, Jafar, the Barmecide, and the bean seller. When Harun al-Rashid crucified Jafar the Barmecide, he commanded that all who wept or made moan for him should also be crucified. So the folk abstained from that. Now it chanced that a wild Arab who dwelt in a distant wold used every year to bring the aforesaid Jafar an ode in his honour, for which he rewarded him with 1,000 dinars. And the Badawi took them, and returning to his own country, lived upon them, he and his family, for the rest of the year. Accordingly, he came with his ode at the wonted time, and, finding that Jafar had been crucified, betook himself to the place where his body was hanging, and there made his camel kneel down and wept with sore weeping, and mourned with grievous mourning. And he recited his ode and fell asleep. Presently, Jafar the Barmecide appeared to him in a vision and said, "Verily thou hast wearied thyself to come to us, and findest us as thou seest. But go to Basra and ask for a man there whose name is such and such, one of the merchants of the town, and say to him, Jafar the Barmecide saluteth thee, and biddeth thee give me 1,000 dinars by the token of the bean." Now, when the wild Arab awoke, he repaired to Basra, where he sought out the merchant and found him, and repeated to him what Jafar had said in the dream. Whereupon he wept with weeping so sore that he was like to depart the world. Then he welcomed the Badawi and seated him by his side, and made his stay pleasant, and entertained him 3 days as an honoured guest. And when he was minded to depart, he gave him 1,500 dinars, saying, "The 1,000 are what is commanded to thee, and the 500 are a gift from me to thee. And every year thou shalt have of me 1,000 gold pieces." Now, when the Arab was about to take leave, he said to the merchant, "Allah upon me, tell me the story of the bean, that I may know the origin of all this." He answered, "In the early part of my life, I was poor and hawked hot beans about the streets of Baghdad to keep me alive. So I went out one raw and rainy day without clothes enough on my body to protect me from the weather. Now, shivering for excess of cold, and now stumbling into the pools of rainwater, and altogether in so piteous a plight, as would make and shudder with goose skin to look upon. But it chanced that Jafar that day was seated with his officers and his concubines in an upper chamber overlooking the street when his eyes fell on me. So he took pity on my case and, sending one of his dependents to fetch me to him, said as soon as he saw me, "Sell thy beans to my people." So I began to met out the beans with a measure I had by me, and each who took a measure of beans filled the measure with gold pieces, till all my store was gone, and my basket was clean empty. Then I gathered together the gold I had gotten, and Jafar said to me, "Hast thou any beans left?" "I know not," answered I, and then sought in the basket, but found only one bean. So Jafar took from me the single bean, and splitting it in twain, kept one half for himself, and gave the other to one of his concubines, saying, "For how much wilt thou buy this half bean?" And she replied, "For the tale of all this gold twice told." Whereat I was confounded, and said to myself, "This is impossible." But as I stood wondering, behold, she gave an order to one of her handmaids, and the girl brought me the sum of the collected monies twice told. Then said to Jafar, "And I will buy the half I have by me for double the sum of the whole," presently adding, "Now take the price of thy bean." And he gave me an order to one of his servants, who gathered together the whole of the money and laid it in my basket. And I took it and went my ways. Then I betook myself to Basra, where I traded with the monies, and Allah prospered me amply. To him be the praise and the thanks. So, if I give thee every year 1,000 dinars of the beauty of Jafar, it will in no wise injure me. Consider then the munificence of Jafar's nature, and how he was praised both alive and dead. The mercy of Allah Almighty be upon him. And men also recount the tale of Abu Mohammed Hight, Lazybones. It is told that Harun al-Rashid was sitting one day on the throne of the caliphate when there came into him a youth of his eunuchry, bearing a crown of red gold set with pearls and rubies and all manner of other gems and jewels, such as money might not buy. And bussing the ground between his hands, said, "O commander of the faithful, the lady Zubaydah kisseth the earth before thee." And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased to say her permitted say. Whereupon, quoth her sister, Dunyazad, how pleasant is thy tale and profitable, and how sweet is thy speech, and how delectable. And where is this? Replied Scheherazade. Compared with what I shall tell you next night. And I live, and the king grant me leave. Thereupon quoth the king to himself, by Allah, I will not slay her until I hear the end of her tale. So, Scheherazade and her sister are going to live to see another day and be able to tell another tale on another night, which is really good news, of course. Ladies and gents, it has been lovely reading for you again. I hope you all stay well. Don't forget, tomorrow evening we are not reading. No reading tomorrow evening. Instead, Saman and I are going to meet you on Saturday with Kamyab and Bijan for a live reading with live music. So the musicians are going to be with us playing on their tar. Kamyab is going to be on his tar. Bijan is going to be on the guitar. And Saman and I will be reading. And we will be doing so in beautiful dresses by Maurizio Giambra and some beautiful jewellery at the very stunning, we're very, very lucky indeed, very stunning Grand Hotel Wien, which is this beautiful, beautiful old hotel on the Ring in Vienna. And it's a very, very, very impressive 5-star hotel. So we're very, very lucky to have been able to get the opportunity to read there and give you something special to look at for once, other than just our hearth fire in our living rooms or our pussycats in our living rooms. This time you're going to get an actual hotel with beautiful, beautiful furniture. So I wish you many blessings. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day or a lovely evening and very, very sweet dreams tonight. So from me, have a beautiful Friday. Have a lovely day Saturday. Take care of yourselves. Keep warm. Stay safe. I was thinking of face because I was just thinking of masks in my head as I said face. Stay safe. Mask up. Social distance. Keep yourself well and happy. Again, many blessings. It was an absolute pleasure reading for you. See you live and online Saturday night at the Grand Hotel Wien. Good night, everybody. Take care. For the 300th night. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.